What is up, YouTube? I think you guys recognize this chart. This is the Bitcoin chart, and it looks hideous. And every technical analyst, every crypto guru on YouTube is showing you this chart like crazy. And I'm here to tell you that this is not the chart that matters, not in the long term, because Bitcoin is just one entity in a bigger market of cryptocurrency. Yes, it's the dominant one. Yes, it's the granddaddy. Yes, it still has over 50% of the space, but it is no longer that 90% dominant force that is the complete dictator of the space. So guys, I want to take you to the chart that really, really matters. And this is the total market capitalization of cryptocurrency, altcoins included. And this chart is where we should look for our TA and our technical indicators, all right? So let's get into this. Okay, we're on the weekly chart. Let's take it to the daily. Let's do the 3-day. Give you a little better perspective. Right about here is when the complete mania phase began. So let's draw a little horizontal line to give you an idea. Right in here, okay? And we spent the better part of 2018 playing around in this range and coming down through it with the little angle like so. I don't know why it's pink, but we'll leave it that way. We spent 2018 in cryptocurrency shaking out the mania phase. Now, what was the phase that preceded it? The natural buildup, the speculative smart money, we can call it. Let's draw a horizontal ray at the bottom of the what appears to be the natural buildup, the natural ramp up to the previous high, which is a little more natural. That's way, way down here. Now, that's pretty damn scary to think that crypto could go from a current market cap of about 114 billion all the way down to 18 billion. Now, guys, I don't think we're going to come down that far. I think cryptocurrency has come a long way in the last few years, and there's more money willing to come in, available to come in, more people know about it. But the question then becomes, where is this bottom going to be? So let's look back in history, because once we broke below this point, new stage of the bear market. We got a little support, a little bit of a rally that really corresponded to this last area. But now we're breaking below it. So where is the next level going to be? Let's see where on the previous ramp up. Top here, which is where we're meeting and testing. And this is why this point is so critical, because if we don't hold, where's our next area? Maybe down a little bit, maybe here, represent sort of the average. Or if it breaks below that, then you're talking about the bottom. And getting in a little closer here, we're looking about $116 billion market cap. This is about a little less than 100 billion. And then this down all the way to 76. And given the angle of this correction, the sentiment in the market right now, this is entirely possible, guys. This correction has been really, really scary, because any sort of, even like a dead cat, hoping that it might come back for a minute, like watch my cursor, saying maybe it's going to like do one of these before it heads down. We didn't even see that. Taking you into the 4-hour chart here, where you can see the bit of a rally we got. We got this like little first bump, second one, and then just absolutely nothing, completely crushed. And now we're heading down lower than this. We've broken below the previous low on the total market cap chart, and that scares me. And here's one of, and now I want to take you to another chart. That's really one of the other driving reasons behind this, is that the guys spend a lot of time looking at the Bitcoin chart, okay? And they do all of their TA on the log chart, okay, Bitcoin. The really, really important chart to look at is the capitalization of the altcoin market, because this gives you some perspective, okay? Just comparing these two charts, okay? That's the weekly chart. Let's get this back in perspective. Weekly here, total market cap of crypto, and trying to get this to a similar visual perspective. But the point I'm going to make here is that this February sort of breakout here, the altcoin market went ballistic even more than the whole crypto market. And subsequently with Ethereum and all of the ICOs became more inflated, more overbought, more ballistically nuts, if you will, than the rest of the crypto market. So you look at the crypto market cap cryptocurrency, it's still a ridiculous rise, but we're on the log chart, it's a little more gentle than the ridiculousness of the altcoin market. So now we look at the altcoin market on this log chart, long time table, and we're seeing that, you know, we broke below the mania phase, and now we're testing these areas, and this, you know, the areas of like previous sort of price got a little stability for a day or two, you know. But right now we got a market capitalization of $53 billion. If we break below bottom of here, 35, I mean, I think we could easily in the altcoin market drip another 20 billion out of it. And all of this comes together because you look at the total market capitalization cryptocurrency chart, and now you start trying to draw your trends. You look at this and say, okay, outside of your natural sort of cycles, is there a fundamental bullish momentum that represents the technology or something like that, something a little more abstract or maybe just hopeful? And you draw some sort of line like this. You know, you just kind of say, okay, there was a very natural ramp up after its double bottom here, and that line goes something like this, right? Something like that, where this the ramp up from the double bottom to the previous high was natural, and everything beyond that was overbought mania nonsense that has to flush out. But once that does, and we start testing this fundamental trend, is that when the price will pick back up? It's an interesting question, because we are going to hit areas of support in this trend line very, very soon in this market. If we keep coming down, you know, this is January 6th right here. Is about a $100 billion market cap. And given the way we're testing, okay, it's not unreasonable to say we might come down to here. But guys, this trend right here is the one to watch, because if this doesn't hold, if we break south of this, and we break south of everything in here, and we break south of 70 billion over the coming months, there's no support here. There's nothing. Even, let's take it to the daily chart and see. And again, absolutely nothing. Just green candle after green candle, these little incremental buys. This is not natural. Put simply, it's very, yeah. So needless to say, all of it, we are desperately hoping that the crypto markets can gain some bit of traction along this trend and perhaps do one of the, where's my little line tool when I need it? One of these, keep it simple for you guys, where it kind of comes down, and I'll adjust this a bit, something like that, where it hits hard, but then as it comes into contact with that trend line, it starts to dredge its support and ultimately can come up like that. And to put that in a little better perspective for you, the bars pattern can do a good job of that. You see what I mean? Where it's going to come down, it's going to test, but then it's going to meet its support and perhaps crash through it. But then as it starts to, well, that's crazy. But as it starts to ramp back up, it'll begin, the highs will begin to touch this area. So one way to put that in perspective, and of course these lines are never completely accurate. It's more to just represent the idea, is that, you know, we'll come down, we'll meet the trend line, we'll sort of crash below it, but then it'll become this point that we'd like top on, and eventually, where the hell did it go? I don't know why that happened, but you guys get the idea. If I had to put my money where my mouth is, I think it's very possible that we see Bitcoin come down to $2,000 on the bottom wick before it establishes an accumulation between 2 and 3 grand. I think when you finally take a look at the price of Bitcoin on the log chart. And let's draw some horizontal lines here to represent that range. High of about 3,000 and a low of about 2,000. You see that it does kind of sit in this volatility range on the last wave up. And quite a ways down, but it's not unrealistic looking at the entirety of it, like the entirety of it on the weekly chart. You just draw a few, trend lines and support for Bitcoin. And yeah, I mean, it's breaking through it. Kind of scary. So are we on a huge long-term dip? It might be. Guys, don't play in this market if you can't afford to lose, if you're not going to watch it like a hawk, if you don't understand stop limits, if you're not willing to invest a lot of time. Because yes, in a volatile market, there is tons of opportunity, but there's also tons of danger. And this is not financial advice. This is just my musings and opinions. But guys, I'm telling you that when you're doing the long-term projections and everyone's seen this right here, right? If you're trying to chart Bitcoin and sort of account for these phases in the market, right? The public greed, delusion, denial, all of it, and how it correlates and relates to this chart, this is the one to look at, the total market cap of the space, not just Bitcoin, not just Ethereum, not just Ripple. You need to look at this chart right here. Coinsignals.trade. You type in market cap, really easy to find. I'm glad I found it. So guys, with that in mind, I'm going to be signing off here. Good talking, and hopefully this turns out good for everyone.